On a cold November afternoon in 1969, a Penn State University library turned into the scene of a chilling murder that remains unsolved to this day. Who was Betsy Aardsma? Why was she killed? And why, after more than 50 years, has her murderer never been found? In this video, we dive into the haunting details of Betsy Aardsma's tragic death and explore the theories that still surround this perplexing case. Betsy Aardsma was a 22-year-old graduate student at Penn State University. Originally from Holland, Michigan, she was known for her intelligence, beauty, and kindness. Betsy was pursuing a degree in English and had a bright future ahead of her. Penn State in the 1960s was a bustling place, full of academic activity and social events. Betsy was well liked and had a close-knit group of friends. On November 28, 1969, the day after Thanksgiving, Betsy decided to visit the university library to work on a research paper. She entered the library around 4 p.m. The library was busy, filled with students preparing for finals. Betsy made her way to the stacks, the rows of bookshelves that were more secluded. Sometime between 4:45 and 4:55 p.m., Betsy was attacked. She was stabbed once in the chest with a single-edged knife. The wound pierced her heart and left lung, causing her to collapse. Initially, other students in the library thought she had fainted or suffered a seizure. It wasn't until she was taken to the hospital that it was discovered she had been murdered. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. The library was evacuated and a search for the attacker began. Despite the presence of many students in the library, no one reported seeing the actual attack. The killer seemed to have vanished without a trace. The investigation into Betsy's murder was extensive. Police interviewed numerous students and staff, but no solid leads emerged. Key suspects were identified, but each had alibis or insufficient evidence to be charged. The lack of witnesses and physical evidence made the case incredibly challenging. Several theories have emerged over the years about who killed Betsy and why. Some believe it was a random act of violence, while others think it was someone she knew. One theory suggests the killer was a student who had become obsessed with Betsy. Another theory posits that it was a stranger passing through the campus. Despite the various theories, none have been proven and the case remains open. The forensic evidence collected was minimal. The murder weapon was never found, and there were no fingerprints or DNA evidence left at the scene. The only clue was a blood stain on the floor where Betsy fell. To this day, the murder of Betsy Aardsma remains one of the most baffling unsolved cases in American history. Her family and friends were left devastated, and the Penn State community was forever changed. Betsy's death serves as a grim reminder of how fragile life can be and how justice is not always served. Betsy Aardsma was an accomplished and ambitious young woman. Born on July 11, 1947, in Holland, Michigan, she grew up in a close-knit family with a strong emphasis on education. After graduating from high school, she attended the University of Michigan, where she earned a bachelor's degree in English. Her academic success and passion for literature led her to pursue a master's degree at Penn State University. Penn State in the late 1960s was a vibrant and dynamic environment. The university was expanding rapidly, attracting students from all over the country. The library, where Betsy spent much of her time, was a hub of academic activity. It was also a place where students could find solitude and focus on their studies. On the day of her murder, Betsy had planned to meet her boyfriend, David Wright, for a movie later that evening. She had spoken to him on the phone earlier and mentioned her intention to visit the library. David, who was studying at another university, had no idea that this would be their last conversation. When Betsy arrived at the library, she went to the second floor, known as the stacks, where she could find the books she needed for her research. The stacks were a series of narrow aisles lined with bookshelves, creating a maze-like environment. It was a place where students often went to work undisturbed. As Betsy browsed the shelves, someone approached her from behind and delivered a single fatal stab wound. The attack was swift and silent, leaving Betsy with no chance to cry for help. She fell to the floor, and within moments, the life drained out of her. The immediate response from library staff and students was confusion. A student found Betsy and alerted the library staff, who initially thought she had suffered a medical emergency. It wasn't until Betsy was taken to the hospital that the true nature of her injury was discovered. Despite the efforts of medical personnel, Betsy was pronounced dead upon arrival. The news of Betsy's murder sent shockwaves through the Penn State community. Students and faculty were stunned and fearful. The idea that a brutal murder could happen in the heart of the campus was unimaginable. The library, once a place of refuge and study, was now tainted by violence. The police investigation faced numerous challenges from the outset. The crime scene had been disturbed by well-meaning students and staff who tried to help Betsy. The lack of witnesses who saw the attack itself compounded the difficulties. Despite extensive interviews and a thorough search of the library, no significant evidence was found. Several suspects were considered during the investigation. Among them was Richard Hefner, a geology graduate student who had been dating Betsy at the time of her death. Hefner was known to have a volatile temper, and some believed he may have been involved. However, there was no concrete evidence linking him to the crime, and he was eventually cleared as a suspect. Another suspect was an unknown man seen running from the library shortly after the attack. Witnesses described him as being in his early 20s with dark hair and wearing a red sweater. Despite a composite sketch being circulated, this man was never identified. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about the identity of Betsy's killer. Some believe it was a random act of violence, while others think it was someone she knew. The lack of definitive evidence has kept the case open and active, with investigators continuing to seek new leads and information. One theory suggests that Betsy may have been the victim of a serial killer who operated in the area during the late 1960s and early 1970s. Several other unsolved murders with similar characteristics occurred in the region around the same time. However, no direct connection has been made between these cases and Betsy's murder. The case of Betsy Aardsma remains a haunting and unresolved chapter in the history of Penn State. Her family and friends have never given up hope that one day the truth will be uncovered. The Penn State community continues to remember Betsy, honoring her memory and seeking justice for her untimely death. In conclusion, the mystery of Betsy Aardsma's murder continues to haunt those who seek answers. The case remains open, and any new information is welcomed by investigators. If you have any information about this case, please contact the authorities. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching.